I just want to start by greeting everyone. Thank you for joining us for day 4 of Virtual Open Week. We've created this platform to sort of like share information about EIT, what you want to know. So today we'll be looking at a topic on our postgraduate programs featured by one of our student ambassador. So, but just before we get into that, to quickly highlight a few things. If you can just ensure that you follow the steps in order to enable all the notifications and sounds. Thank you. My name is Barry. I am based in the South African office. Once again, we welcome you to day 4 of our Virtual Open Week 2024. Just before we start the show, just some common questions that we normally get from our audience. So we will be providing you with the copy of the slides and the recording of this session. So just ensure that you look out for on your emails, more especially junk or spam folder, because sometimes it doesn't go directly into the inbox. So we aiming to send this by at least the 21st of this month. And for those who are joining us for the first time, I just want to do a quick overview about EIT and what we do. So maybe majority of you are aware that EIT, we focus and specialize on engineering. I mean, like our program starts from short learning courses, professional certificates. We have diplomas, advanced diplomas, undergraduate, graduate certificates, bachelor's, master's, and our highest level of qualification at EIT is doctorate. I always say, time to time, technology is changing. The industry itself, it's changing, and EIT is hard at work to ensure that our resources and our materials are always up to date to keep up with all these trends and new changes. So what you learn at EITs today is still going to be relevant when you go into the industry. We are created by Australian government, just like any higher education provider in Australia, and we have some of our programs that are registered under or recognized under 3 engineering ARCOTs, which is Dublin, Sydney, and Washington. So we source our lectures from all different parts of the globe, and also just to give our students sort of like a global perspective of engineering, and we make use of very unique methods when coming to deliver our programs. We have remote labs and simulations and interactive webinars where you're able to interact with your lecturers and fellow students. So I'm now going to hand things over to Emma Hart, who is our higher education manager here at EIT. Emma, you can take it away.
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it. Apologies, everyone. I know I was a few minutes late running from another of our sessions. So I suppose just to start off a little bit of my background. So I'm currently the higher education manager here at EIT, and I'm based in our Perth, Australia campus. My background is not engineering. I'm not an engineer. My background is actually within languages and teaching. So I studied languages and linguistics at university, and I'm actually, if anyone knows the Australian accent well, you'll see that I don't have one. I'm actually English. I've lived in Australia for a long time now. I won't mention how long, it'll give away how old I am. But my background then came from studying languages, being in Europe in the European languages, and then going into teaching. And then I moved into more management and the support side and the administration side for colleges. So I look after the higher education team, and as we go through, I'll explain what the team does. So it's where we are looking at the support, so all of your student support, the administration around your courses and your units. That's my team, and that's what I look after. So I work very closely with our deputy dean and the academic team to make sure that there is a seamless education and an experience for you guys as you go through. So a little bit on, again, why I think Barry had talked about this, about why students choose EIT. And one of the reasons I also chose to come and work here is firstly for the quality of education. We do regular surveys with our students, our current students and our past students, and they generally come out and say how good the programs are. They have a good educational experience, and we are one of the only colleges, obviously, that specialise within engineering. And specifically as well with online. So I've worked in many education institutes who do very well with education across the board, but on campus, not so much online. So this was a real drive for me to come to EIT as well. So again, so it's in the undergraduate programs, but also the quality of education for our postgrad across the board, including our teaching and our student support. So we rate very highly across from our students and from our graduates in these areas. So a reason to choose EIT. So what I'm going to do today, I'll run through some information just about our postgraduate courses and the levels and what you can do and how they link to each other. Talk a little bit about our support mechanisms, what we do, how we do it, and a little bit on our practical experience. So we are very practical in how we deliver our courses. They are very hands-on and they have practical components. So you're not just learning theory alone, so that when you get out into industry or you're trying to progress your career, you've also had that experience as well. So going through our postgrad courses, and I'm going to go through sort of the three levels, starting from our graduate certificates to our diplomas and then to our master's degrees. So our graduate certificates, there are a variety of streams. So you've got the civil engineering, industrial automation, mechanical engineering, and we've got safety, risk and reliability as well. So each of these graduate certificates are 4 units. So as if you are studying online, you would do these in terms. We have 4 terms that run throughout the year, and students would generally do 2 units a term. So each term is 12 weeks. So over 24 weeks or 6 months, which is similar to a whole semester, then you would have completed those 4 units. But you are able to do them flexibly. So if, for example, you're busy working, and a lot of our students are busy working alongside their study if they're online, you would be able to do 1 unit a term. You may have a term where you can't commit to the study because you're extremely busy, and that's fine. And we have a deferral, a leave of absence for that specific term, and then you can come back. So if you're going through these, you've got a maximum of 3 years to be able to get these 4 units as you go through. Now on the right hand side, you see what's listed there as AQF qualifications. So that's the Australian qualification framework. So that just shows the level that this qualification is sitting at. So you'll see as we go through our graduate certificate to diploma to masters, obviously it increases in those levels. Now, if you are studying the graduate certificate and you complete these units and then you choose to progress, whether to the diploma or whether into the master's, the units that you complete within your graduate certificate would be credited across. So you would not be expected to do the same 4 units again. So if you were doing your graduate certificate in civil engineering and structural, and then you decided to go into the master's, the 4 units would credit across, which means you wouldn't have to complete them again. The certificates are really good for students who are coming back into education after a while and not sure how it's going to go. It's new. You haven't done it for a long time. If you studied many years ago and decided to then come back to it, it can be difficult. Let's go back. Sorry. It's also, if you're not sure about the commitment, you don't want to fully commit to, for example, a master's degree, you can start with a graduate certificate, see how you go, see if you enjoy studying again, but knowing that should you then progress further, that what you do complete in these courses can be then credited across to our diploma and into our masters. So you look at the graduate diploma. So if you think of a graduate certificate as 6 months, the graduate diploma is 1 year of study. And so if, for example, you did the graduate certificate, you did 4 units, and then you then decided to do the diploma, those 4 units would credit into the diploma, and you would just complete the second 4 units in this diploma. If then from there, so you had all 8 units and you decided then to go into the masters, all of those completed units could again transfer across. So you're never expected to repeat them again. Of course, that is if you're going into the same stream and those units are the same units in each course. But if you were switching from one stream into another, we'd have to look at the units that you completed in there. Okay, so for our graduate diploma, civil, electrical, mechanical, industrial, and again, we've got safety, risk, and reliability. And just to see the note there, the safety, risk, and reliability doesn't have at this point the master, so it stops at the diploma level. So these graduate diplomas are 8 units. Again, same structure. Generally, students will do 2 units a term, but it could be less. If they wanted 1, it goes over the full year if you complete it in the year. Each one, as you see there, has 12 study weeks. There's no breaks, so you run straight through, and then you have the 4 years to complete. But again, this makes the first year of the master's degree. So if you were someone who decided to do the certificate, the diploma master's, it follows on and you get credit as you move across through those programs. Which then takes us to our Master of Engineering in our 4 streams. So if you have done the other 2, as I mentioned, the certificate and diploma, then what you're doing is going into the final year of this Master of Engineering, or you may just be starting directly into the Masters. So again, we have those 4 main streams. With your units, again, 2 each term, goes over 8 terms, so over the 2 years. And again, same process. So you'd be in the same units as you would be with someone who is in the graduate certificate or someone who is in the diploma. You'd run through those units. What you have at the end of the master's course is your thesis unit. So each of our units are 3 credit points, except the final unit, the final thesis unit, which is 12 credit points, and that is your final master's thesis that you would run through. So that is the very last semester. So you would find if you are doing it term by term, you'd have the sort of first year where you'd have those 8 units, the second year, so first term 2 units, second term 2 units, but then your thesis unit would run over the 2 terms. So it wouldn't be 1 term, it would then run over 2, so 24 weeks instead of the normal 12. Impossible to do a 12 credit point unit in that short space of time. So that's how it is structured. So what do we do? How do we help you? Studying online and on campus is very difficult. And one thing I found and what I really liked about EIT when I came here was the learning support officers. Wherever I have studied and wherever else I worked in education, places do not have learning support officers. So these people are basically the team who sits with my team, who will support you on your journey from beginning to end. So from when you do your orientation all the way through your course until graduation, each unit that you study will have a learning support officer. It could be the same one. So if you have 2 units, you may find for those 2 units, you may have the same learning support officer, or they may be different. But these people are there to support you in everything that's not specifically academic. So obviously, if you're asking a specific engineering question, your lecturer is there to help. But outside of that, these guys will help you accessing all the systems, knowing how they work, the processes, what you need to do. Do you need an extension for an assessment? What do you do? You might be going overseas for work and you're not able to access the system that you need specifically for assessment. Your learning support officer would work through that with you and figure out the best option and how that works. They will help you to make sure that you know when your live tutorials are, that when your assessment deadlines are. They'll make sure you know when your grades are ready. They'll send you notifications. If you're struggling, whether it's academically or personally, they're there to help you and they can point you in the right direction and talk to the teams that can give you even more support. So they are there to help you from beginning to end of each of your units, but all the way through the duration of your course. And as I said, sometimes you may have the same one in a term that will look after both of your units. Sometimes you may have different ones. Over the course of your entire program, you'll have a variety of our learning support officers and they're based around the world. So you may get someone that's based in Australia, you may have someone in South Africa, maybe someone in the UK. So we try to make sure that we have a full coverage so that we're able to help you, so that you're not waiting a week for an answer and that we're giving you the support you need when you need it. So these guys are there to support and help you all the way through from beginning to end. And I often say, no question's a silly question. They are there to help in whatever you need, and understanding that studying online is extremely difficult. It's hard to be motivated. It's hard to get through a lot of the material when you're sitting online and not in a specific classroom. So these guys are there to help and support you along the way. So in addition to our learning support, we have the other side, the student support services. And we run a variety of student success workshops. And these could be academic specific ones or non-academic. So they're health and well-being. If you're needing help in any way in your well-being, then we run a variety of sessions. But then the team are there to be able to support you, so you can tell them what you need and they will work through that with you and get you the support that we can. We also run academic workshops, things like being able to write reports, being able to write essays, understanding the systems a little bit better, being able to manage your time. Again, if you're not someone who's been studying for a long period of time, it may be difficult getting back in to the routine of studying. So we run a variety of workshops, both online and on campus. These are also recorded. So if you aren't able to make your specific time, then you can always come back and watch it at a later date. But then we do try and run them in a variety of times so that depending on where you are, you're able to attend a live one if needed. But if not, you can watch and then always come to our support team and ask for additional assistance where needed. We also have on there, you'll see at the bottom, the English for Technical Professionals course. So anybody sitting and thinking, English course, I want to do engineering, why am I doing English? It's exactly what it says it's for technical professionals. So this is not a basic English course. This is really helping you within the engineering aspect, being able to write those key reports, being able to present, being able to get up and do a presentation. So in your final thesis unit, one of your assessments is to present your thesis to the panel, to the academic panel. So many people worry about this. They haven't done presentations in a long time. So this gives you the skills to be able to do that. And you will see there are a variety of modules that you can do. There's writing, there's speaking practice, there's listening practice, but all specific to engineering and the technical side of things at quite a high level as well. So a lot of our staff are going through this, and some of our academics also have been looking through it and making sure that they feel they're confident on these things as well. And I've done it too. So I went through it also and completed the course. It's really interesting. So again, don't be worried thinking I'm not coming to do an English course. It's there to support you so that then when you get to your assessments or the specific skills that you need, you feel more confident in doing that because you've had the practice through this course. It's a fully online course, so there aren't scheduled classes for it. You work through this at your own time, so you can do it as you wish and as you go. So the software. So we use a variety of software, and this is where your learning support officer comes in very handy. And they will walk you through all of these systems to make sure you're able to do it. So from Moodle, where we have all your unit materials, your assessments, your grades, you'll see big blue button, which is very similar to what we're doing here on Teams. It's another platform where you'll have your live tutorial sessions. Iris invigilation. So if you have a test that you're doing, obviously you in an old school world, you'd be sitting in a classroom in silence doing your test. This is where you can do it online at home, and the invigilation software watches to make sure that you're not doing anything strange. We've also then got the remote labs, which I'll talk about shortly, and then you've got Microsoft Office that you have access to and you all get an email, and then we have our student management system called Paradigm, and that's where you'll see your invoices, payment information, the units that you're studied in. So your learning support officer will make sure you're able to access all of that prior to. So the practical learning on here as well. So I mentioned this earlier. So part of our courses have practical components to it as well. So it's not just standing in the classroom and sitting there and learning. There are a variety of things. So we run hands-on workshops. So as part of your course, there are hands-on workshops. Now, some of you will be able to get recognition of prior learning for these because you've worked out in industry, or your previous qualifications may meet those needs. But we also have some students that will come onto campus in Perth, and we're also running some of these in our South African office as well, so that you get that practical component. But we also have our remote labs, which I'll jump to. So when you're studying, you'll often find, your lecturer may tell you, okay, go to a specific lab and we need to do this. Now in a classroom on campus, easy to go into one of our labs and do it. Online is a little bit different. So we have remote labs. So you're able to book a time and you'll be able to log in and use our remote labs. So very similar as if you were doing it in person, you're able to then do it remotely. I think I was just telling the other group, I was playing around with one the other day and having a look at it, and it was in electrical engineering, and I electrocuted myself multiple times and definitely failed it. Again, not an engineer, but really practical and really helpful. And so you get that practical hands-on experience that you're able to do. I think this was mentioned a little bit earlier when Berry was giving the overview, but we have our lecturers from around the globe. So they're not just based here in Australia, they are based all over. So you'll often find when you go into your session, into your live tutorial, you may be in South Africa, for example, but then your lecturer could be in Europe somewhere. They might be in Spain, they might be in the UK. They could be in Central and South America. We have lecturers from Brazil, we have them from North America, we have them from Canada. Lecturers from all over. And the good thing with our lecturers is not only are they academics and have lecturing experience, of course, but they are also industry experts. So a lot of our lecturers work out in industry, run their own businesses, work in specific areas. So when they are teaching, they're able to give you that practical experience as well and apply what you're learning to the workplace. So you're not, again, just getting that theory based. Academic support is also a huge part of what we do. So we talked about student support, but we also then have academic support. So you have your lecturers in your class teaching you on a daily basis. They are there to support you. And we also have our course coordinators that will look after each specific area. They are all there to support you. So any questions that you have, you can ask your lecturer. You'll know who your course coordinator is that you can contact, or you can always go to your learning support officer and work with them. And they will then help you and get you in contact with your lecturer and make sure they're giving you the extra support that you need. So all of that is available. Again, all you need to do is ask. And that's why your learning support officer is critical. They are there to help you. So even if you said, I've got a question and I've contacted my lecturer, but I haven't heard anything, your learning support officer will chase them, will find them and get them back to you and make sure that you get the answers that you need. So they're there to fully support you. Now, with our entry requirements, fees and any payments, so I won't go into detail on here, but they're all on our website. And the reason I won't show it is because you're all from a variety of different countries, and when you go onto the website, you'll be able to select your country to see what your entry requirements are, but also the fees and so on for you. So I won't go into detail there, but if you look at the website, you'll see everything on there. You'll also find on there a variety of our partial scholarships that you can apply for, and they range from specific areas of discipline into, we've got women in engineering. So there's a whole range for you to have a look at and see what would be suited for you and would explain how you then apply that. Okay, so I am going to stop talking. I think you've heard enough of me talking generally about the courses, but the best thing for understanding what we do and how it works for you guys is to hear from our students. So I could tell you how amazing the courses are and how great they are, but again, I think coming from one of our students who's currently in the course is much easier for you to understand. So what I want to do is to hand over to our amazing student ambassador, Hermanus, who is here to take you through his experience. So thank you, Hermanus. Really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. We've done this before on a webinar, so I really appreciate your time. So I'm going to hand over to you, and you can tell the guys all about yourself and your experience of the courses.
Perfect. Thank you, Emma, so much. Just a quick sound check. Am I audible? Perfect. Perfect. All right. So good day to everyone. So my name is Hermanus Scholtz. I'm a student ambassador. So back in 2016, I knew that I wanted to study. I wanted to enhance my career overall. So I started off with a couple of universities from South Africa. So by the way, I'm Namibian based. I stay in Namibia. So I knew that I need to study, and of course, when I was trying to get through to universities, I just found closed doors, honestly, because I needed to find something that can work for me, something that's online, that's flexible. And I started off, looking, and then I stumbled across EIT's website through LinkedIn, and then it really caught my attention because I immediately, engaged with them, and then it was one thing after the other thing. It was just like a perfect fit, it just fitted in. So I was interested in the advanced diploma back then. So, without thinking much about it, I got some insights. I spoke to a few people. They were, they shared some numbers with me so I can engage. And I spoke to the students, and I said, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I need. It will make my things, my whole experience wonderful. So I started off, and then in October 2017, I started off with my advanced diploma. Never regretted any of that decisions. So I started off, and then in May 2019, I finished off with my advanced diploma. But then, I found out about the degree as well. So I decided, so why not give it a shot? And then I started off with my degree, my bachelor's of science in industrial automation. So I'm a very passionate, by the way, automation engineer. I love what I'm doing. I've been doing it, for many years, as you can tell by the gray hair. So then I started off with my bachelor's. immediately just 1 month gap, and then I started off, and then in December 2022 I finished off with my bachelor's, and by that time with a 3-week break, and then I just started off with my Masters of Engineering, which I'm scheduled to finish in the next 6 weeks. Must say I'm very proud of myself getting this far, so we always have that issue about, money and, time and whatever. Believe me, those things they will figure out them by, you will figure it out as you go. So there's no need even, to worry about all those things in your mind. That's, it's normally it's our minds that's giving us that instills that fear about money, time and family and whatever. I think the important thing is, to get going. So yes, I started off, and this is where I am currently. So I would just like, to share a few things. How was my experience for the last 7 years? So my experience throughout the course was, like Emma pointed out, the flexible learning environment, which is exceptional. The online, like I pointed out before, it just gives me that balance, between studies, work. The classes are, at night sometimes early mornings. Sometimes, when you run into problems, you just engage the LSO, and then you send out a summary of, the key things that you missed out, and then they would mark you as attendant. It's industry relevant. So all the stuff that I've been learning all along, and this is why I just continued on. It's for the very reason that there's so much knowledge out there that you can acquire, and this is one of the things that, kept me so close with EIT, because I can learn so much, and the courses is industry specific. It's not like, you'd learn something that you'd never apply, it's stuff from the 1970s, concepts and whatever. It's stuff that's, very, very, very practical in the industry. Interactive and engaging. The online classes, of course, within Moodle, you would get pre-recordings, then you would look at your lectures, prepare yourself for the live session. When you get to the live session, you can actually interact with your lecturer, and you can discuss, problems. Of course, not, specifically to your industry, but, concepts in general. How can one, do this? And, you collaborate with a lot of different students from different backgrounds, and you get insights how people think differently in a different continent, and say, oh, I didn't know that. So the support system, what EIT has, it's excellent. The student support officers, the wellness programs, use them to your advantage. Yeah, that's what I would say about my experience. So high quality instruction. So the lectures do spend a lot of time explaining the concepts, especially in the pre-recording lectures, which you will find on Moodle. So they spend a lot of time. It's very good material. They also guide you, to excellent resources. Practical applications of concepts, which I've just mentioned. It's stuff that you can actually, use in industry immediately. And then of course, some of the lectures, they're also in the forefront of newer technology. So sometimes they would, talk about new things that's coming, So I never knew about hydrogen is coming, that hydrogen is such a big thing. And I know that one of the lecturers in our master's program discussed extensively about the technologies that's getting used there. So yes, they always give you insights to the new things that's happening, because they're the academics. They know exactly what's coming on and what the research is showing. Flexible online format, so I'll not touch on that again. I think I've explained it very well. So it just suits in everything, with your family, with your time. It's important, there is a standard guide that guides you how much time you need to spend. I would always recommend students, when I talk to them, to say that, look, you have to spend this amount of time. There's no shortcut. Or of course, you need to burn candle time to learn the concept. So it's not something that you will just start, and then just think it's a quick workaround. No, you have to spend a certain amount of time to learn those concepts. Okay, and then my highlights for the last 7 years, so like I pointed out, started off with advanced diploma, progressed well, about to finish off my master's. I've never regretted any of those decisions. EIT completely shaped my career. So even, doing this presentation back then I remember in 2019 when I had my first presentation, I was a complete nerve wreck because, what do I say? And today I'm confident, I'm a confident speaker because through this whole training, one get to, you mold it into different way of doing things, even collaborative learning with different students. You get to meet with them, you get to do presentations together. So it just, enhanced the whole experience. It gives you high confidence, believe me. Cutting edge learning resources, remote labs, very powerful. I recall when I started off in 2017, I remember how the labs used to look back then, with the technology that was there. And looking back 7 years, where we started off and where we are right now, completely amazed, augmented reality. You can go and you can do simulations, and it's all stuff that you can actually draw from there, and bring that to your workplace. Yes. Yeah, and it's where we are right now. So like I said, I'm still to decide, what do I do next year, because I'm sort of, addicted to studying over the 7 years. So it molded me into a different way of thinking. It's lifelong thinking. So I would most probably see, it's maybe another graduate diploma just to keep myself busy, acquire new knowledge that I can actually apply in industry. But yeah, in 6 months I'll be coming to an end with what I wanted to achieve in life, which I'm very happy about. EIT gave me that opportunity to do that, from the comfort of my house. And then, it was a completely unforgettable journey. Yes. Would I recommend? Yes, of course. Always. I'm an ambassador. When I talk to students, I just found myself sometimes advocating, because I know, where I was and where I am right now. I talk to students, and then I would, tell them that they need to think about this. And I know, through LinkedIn, there's a number of students that always inbox me, and then we would talk, call, and then they want to know a few things about EIT specifically, then I would give them some insight. So yes, of course, I would recommend them, because it's so, so specifically tailored made for our industry, which is which Emma pointed out, the field of study that we're in. Yeah, and that's me. That's my story. Thank you for listening to me.
Okay. Thanks, Hermanus. Thanks, Emma. I'm just checking if there's a couple of questions we can run through. Someone wanted to know if we have a master's in renewable energy. Unfortunately, no. So at this moment, we have an advanced diploma. We have professional certificates. So in fact, what I'll do, I'll just put a link to all our renewable energy related courses.
First of all, we're just waiting to see if there's any other questions. I just wanted to take this time to say a huge thank you again to Hermanus for joining us. I know how busy you are. You've got a lot going on, and I know how close you are to finishing your course as well, which is amazing. So just really appreciate you taking the time out and coming to talk at our open week and give your experience, because it is invaluable. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you do next as well. I know you keep studying, you're addicted to that study. So yeah, Love to see what's next as well. But just again, a huge thank you. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and then also, affording me the opportunity to speak to the students in general.
We've got the question of, can I transfer from one institution to EIT? Possibly, but it really depends on what you're currently studying. So I'm assuming you're wondering if you'd be able to get credit for what you have studied into an EIT course. For our recognition of prior learning, there's a process to go through. So if you have studied somewhere else, or if you've started your master's course and completed units, you'd be able to submit an application for recognition of prior learning, and our academic team would then go through that information to see if those units and what you've completed align with the units that you need to complete, whether it's your master's or diploma or graduate certificate. So they would then assess that and determine from there. So it's not a guarantee of credit from one to the other. It does have to be assessed. But yeah, so in answer to that, it is possible to transition, but it does depend on the course, what you've completed, making sure that you're eligible for the EIT course, and then whether you are able to get credit. Okay, what's in the Q&A? So a question, what specific reference the master's degree? What are the assessment modes? Each unit is different, but there are a variety of there'll be report, there'll be short answer, there are presentations, so each is a little bit different. Most of the master's courses and units don't have formal exams. Some are slowly being integrated at the minute, but a lot are on those short answer reports and practicals as well. So you'll find there's a lot of practicals. So when I talked about the remote labs, will be related to some of the activities in the remote labs and reporting back on those. So there are some practical components as well. But depending on the unit, it can range on what those assessments are. And I think the other question in there, I think Barry had already answered about whether the courses are eligible for fee help, and the answer is yes in Australia. If a degree is not accredited with Washington Accord, does that beneficial doing the Masters in Industrial Automation? So for the reason with some of the degrees not yet being accredited in the Accord, it's in relation obviously to the number of graduates also that we have. So the more students that go through and complete the course, because you, in order for being able to have the accreditation, you've got to have a minimum number of graduates in a variety of areas. So the more students that go through, the easier then the accreditation comes from there. And if you have completed your course already, and then obviously the Washington Accord is given, it's a benefit for you also. So even if it doesn't have it right this minute, down the track where it would also benefit you at that point. Oh, and I've just realised the first one there. I am 40 plus and still interested in electrical engineering. Are these courses ideal for my age? Yeah, they are not, courses that are for any specific age. And for any of we've got a lot of mature age students. So, and 40 plus isn't that mature. So oh, I've frozen.
I see there's a question on PTE. So yes, at EIT we do accept IELTS, PTE. I guess the other one is the academic English, as long as it's recognized by Australian government and Home Affairs. More especially if students they want to study on campus, they can take it. I think that's it for today. I see Emma, she's frozen there. I don't know what happened. But once again, Hermanus, we just want to say a huge thank you for just sharing your expertise with audience, your fellow engineers. And yeah, tomorrow we're doing our last day of Virtual Open Week. So you can still go and register and be able to attend the session. Otherwise, I'm not sure. Maybe you wanted to put your last comment, Hermanus, before we close.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. Thank you, Barry, also for having me again once again. I think there was some students that asked how can we connect with you. So the easiest and the fastest would be through LinkedIn. Just do a quick search, Hermanus course, or get me on LinkedIn, and then if you want some discussions, we can always work around that. No worries. But yeah, thank you everyone. So I'll be off now, and then all the best. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hermanus, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Cheers. Bye.